When you do go on a show like Love Island, where appearance is something that's so widely spoken about, you do kind of get like stuck where people think that it's really like okay to just say whether or not they think you look nice or not, or like if you've put on weight, or like, oh, is she pregnant, or if they always want to know about your love life. It's quite intrusive, like because you went on a show like that, it's almost like the public for the rest of your life feel like they are entitled to knowing stuff that you wouldn't ask like a random person or another influencer you don't know. I used to work like unhealthy amount. I was obsessed. Like tattooing became an obsession. I mean, it's a good type of addiction to get, I suppose. But I just would not have days off. Like my customers would laugh when I'd be like, oh, I'm going to take next week off. They'd be like, good one. Bet you don't. Never did. No. I was just obsessed with it. My sister was like, Abs, you were the only person I know who is so content with their life and really loves it. Why do you want to risk that? Why do you want to change it? And I think at the time, because I was a little bit like tunnel vision, I was like, I think I'll be all right. I think I'll be sweet. Like, I'm tough. I'm strong. I'm good. Turns out I'm not sure as fuck. Fuck, this is what I'm like made to do. I'm made to like make females' bodies just look even more incredible than they already are. Use bits to just flow and emphasize or snatch, like just really make the most out of what they've got.
Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Alex Louise and this is a 21st Century Tattoo.
Sweet, cool. Abby, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. Thank you so much for being a part of this.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been good. I've been looking forward to getting you on this for a while. First off, I want to say I love the work. I think it's sick. Like,
thank you. Likewise.
Thank you. I'm really, love that style, and I'm really I've always been a fan of fine detail. Anyway, you are the queen of the bondala, like as you call it yourself. I guess I want to know, what's life like for you at the moment?
Life is good, actually. I'm in a very good mental health space. My balance of work and tattooing and other work, everything's just very good. I feel like I found a good, happy medium, which is like the first time in my life I can actually say that. Yeah, very good, thank you.
Yeah, good. So you're busy, you've got a lot going on.
Yeah, more than I've ever had on. I think before, it was more just like tattooing, having to try and work out the work balance, which, by the way, I've never been able to do. Like, I've never known how to take days off.
Same.
It's been a lot. And like now that I do parts of social media, it was like, at first I tried doing 2 full-time jobs together. And I was like, oh my God, this is just horrendous. My life is just not fun. So I worked out that I need to do everything like part-time and jigsaw it all together. And somehow I've managed to create a really good cocktail, and I'm feeling good about it.
Yeah, nice. You're very chill. You've got a nice chilled aura about you.
Thank you.
And it's really like this space as well. It's cool to kind of come into, I like seeing someone's private space and how they've done it. It's really like a bit of an outward reflection of how
it's
they
like
are.
the inside of my brain. Like when I got to decorate, I've only ever worked in studios where it's been eclectic. So it's always been, shall we do this? And it's like a vote, yeah or no. I was like, wow, this space, I can decide everything. If I don't want that colour, we don't do it. It was so weird, scary. I also felt a bit lost because I'm not the great at the whole like interior design thing. So I was like, I really hope this vision in my head actually looks good.
Yeah.
And I finished it. I was like,
yeah, you wouldn't know. Like, it's cool.
I love it.
Yeah, it's sick. It's really cool. What we'll do, we'll get onto this space in a bit. And I guess like let's talk about tattooing. Well, maybe kind of what I'll always do is start at the beginning and go and work to present day. But let's maybe do it the other way around, and we'll start for tattooing as it is right now, and maybe we can work our way backwards. I guess I want to know then for you, why tattooing?
Why tattooing? Oh my God, why it's so good.
Broad question.
Like,
yeah.
Why tattooing? Well, I stumbled into it, if I'm honest. It was not, I really wish I had one of those stories where I could be like, when I was younger, I always wanted to be a tattooist. I just knew. That's a lie. I didn't. I never even considered it. I used to be in school. People would like pay me to design tattoo designs for them because I was always like the arty one. And not at one point did I consider me being like a young female could be a tattooist. And then when I was lucky enough to be approached by a studio, I was like confused, like, what do you mean, me? And then when I went in, I was like, just completely taken back by everything, because I was actually at uni at the time.
Okay, and you got approached by a studio?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I
okay.
just used to draw stuff. This is back in the Facebook days. I used to draw stuff, posted it, and there was a studio that was looking for an apprentice. Someone must have forwarded on my work, and then they approached me and was like, we think what you can do on paper would be a real asset to our team if we taught you how to do it on skin. I was like, amazing.
Scouted, yeah.
I know, I
sick.
couldn't believe it. But even at the same time, I didn't even appreciate it. Like, I was like, meh, I'll go in, I'll see. And then when I went in, like, my brain just exploded, and I was like, wow, this is so cool.
And where was this? Was this
This is in Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was from around here, like Buckinghamshire. And then I moved to Bournemouth to go to uni to do graphic design.
Yeah.
And then 3 weeks into being on the course, I got offered to go and have a look at the studio. And then the next day I dropped out.
Really?
I remember calling my mum and being like, okay, so hi mum, I've dropped out of uni, bye, and she like run me back like, no, you haven't.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, even just that's a big move and a big decision.
It was so scary.
Did you just did you know that was what you needed to do, was to kind of sack off uni?
Do you know what? I didn't really want to go to uni in the first place. It was more of this case of like being young, wanting to like start this new life, but not having enough money to do it.
Yeah.
And just being just a bit unreliable and just having no money and just being a bit of a young kid. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to go to uni. They'll give me loads of money and then I can just start a new life. Didn't think about all this debt that it gives you and all of this. But so I went there with my heart not in it anyway. And then when I had this is knocking on my door, I was like, this sounds really cool. And I always wanted to do something in like artistic. I wanted to be an illustrator originally.
Okay, so.
And my dad was like, no, there's no money in illustration. You can't do it. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll do graphic design then. So already I felt like I was compromising what I wanted to do purely because the world tells you there's no money in art unless you're dead. So I was like, okay, fine. I'll go to uni and do graphic design then. So when this came knocking on my door, I was like, fuck, I can get paid to draw on people. Like, what? And the studio that I originally went into, it was like super cool. It was relaxed. Actually went bankrupt within 2 months of me being there. My whole world like ended. I was like, oh my God, I've dropped out of uni. I've committed to this life and now it's just gone.
Was that because of like obviously how expensive it is to get set up with tattooing?
If I'm honest, I actually don't know. And this was such a long time ago. They didn't, I think because I was so new, they didn't really share the real reasons why. When I just literally got a call one day.
Oh, the studio?
Yeah.
Fine.
The studio that took me on as the apprentice was like, yeah, don't come in tomorrow. We don't have a shop anymore. And I was like, okay, great.
I had a very similar experience.
Really?
Yeah.
But then luckily, because Bournemouth's a very small place, everyone knows everyone chats. And there was another local studio called The Gallery, and the guy, Jordan, who owned it, he got in contact with me and he was like, I hear what's happened and you're ready to like go. We have an opportunity for you if you want it. Like, come and talk to us. I went and met him and I was like, I would love this. If this is literally like my lifeline, thank you. So then I actually started apprenticing there. And it was so good. I loved it. It was one of those apprenticeships where, so the owner wasn't a tattooist and he was the one that offered me the apprenticeship. So when I got there, none of the artists were really not willing and no one really wanted an apprentice. No one wanted to give me the time that an apprentice needs. So I was kind of just floating about being like classic, like the shop bitch, just doing everything, cleaning, opening up, looking down and being like, when's someone going to teach me something? So at the beginning, it was a little bit of a waste of time. And then as soon as I did my first tattoo, I tattooed another artist that worked there called Lucas. Like, shout out to Lucas, he made it. But he used to let his ex-girlfriends or girlfriends at the time tattoo him that weren't tattooists.
Oh shit.
So he was covered in like just the worst stuff. So I remember looking at him thinking, do you know what?
Like,
ain't gonna be that
loads
bad.
of girls' names. Or,
I'm hoping that I could do better than that.
Yeah.
So like the bar was low. I was like, I can do this. So I was like, fuck it, let's do it. So we did this dot work skull on his leg. And it came out really good. Like, I have to give myself props. I was like, wow. But I think it's because I had no pressure. I had no like worry of thinking, oh my God, this has to be great, even though it was another tattooist. But I came out really good and I was like, wow, go me, look at that. And then the guy, Jordan, that owns the place was like, right, you're now £40 an hour. And I was like, I've done one tattoo.
Fucking hell.
But that completely threw me off because I've got such a perfectionist like mentality.
Yeah.
As soon as I went to tattoo, I was going to do a lot and I did dot work because my hand was shaking so severely. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. So much pressure on myself. I remember it was a barber that worked opposite our shop. He came in. don't ask me why I did it, but he wanted scissors on here, this
On
part.
that part of
I
the
was
hand.
so educated. I didn't know that this is a horrendous face tattoo. And then my hand's shaking, so refused to. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. So I had a bit of a crappy like entrance into tattooing.
Yeah.
And then like, because no one really taught me fully like, right, don't do this, do that, whatever. And back then there was a lot more competition. Whereas because it was more like walk-ins, we had social media, but it wasn't the tool we have now. So if I was doing really well, or if I tattooed someone they have tattooed, they'll see me as competition. So it was a bit hostile at times.
Yeah, I've heard that a little bit about Bournemouth as well. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know whether it's just kind of there's just certain pockets in the UK that can be a little bit like that, and I think maybe social media has probably eased that pressure slightly, as well as also the influx in clients.
Yeah, 100%.
Talking about like your apprenticeship then, so do you feel like that's obviously where you kind of learned the majority of your stuff? Did you literally go straight on skin, or were you doing bits and pieces?
I've never tattooed fake skin.
It was just straight on his leg?
Straight onto skin, yeah. It was onto Lucas, and then from then on it was paying customers.
Yeah.
So it was hard.
In at the deep end.
And it made me feel like physically sick, because I knew I was charging people for these tattoos that were just awful. They were so bad. And I just didn't know what to do, because I was so grateful to be given this opportunity. But I think because, like, do you know, I don't want to like badmouth Jordan, because he is incredible and he's a lovely man, and I am so grateful that he gave me the opportunity. But not being a tattooist, I think it makes him not understand that just because I can draw this on paper, it is completely different.
Doesn't
medium.
translate necessarily.
And it just completely funked with me, and I was like, this is really hard.
Yeah.
So I think it was difficult just because he couldn't understand, he didn't relate, and he didn't know how much like it was going to be in my own head. And I know some people are so good when they work under pressure and they thrive in it. That is not me.
No. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's weird. And it's always very interesting to see how kind of people find it. Like, I feel like I do well under pressure. I mean, the first tattoo I did on skin was on my mentor's leg, and it was like color packing, and it's like, do you know what I mean? So it was. But I think in doing that and having that pressure to start with and going in at the deep end, it does kind of like fast track you.
Yeah.
But I mean, to look at that to what you're producing now, which is like world class, like it's good. It's good to see.
Thank you. Well, I was lucky that whilst I was there, I had Jake Giles. I don't know if you've crossed paths with him. He's an incredible artist. He was only there for 3 months whilst I was there, and he taught me quite a lot. And then he went off to another studio, and I was like, great. The one person I wanted to teach was gone. And then Coral, he then started like taking me under his wing a little bit. And then when people asked me who I'm mentoring by, I would say him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he kind of like was given the job and never asked for it in the first place. So
Yeah.
I think I would say that I'd have to give most of my thanks to Coral for helping become the artist I am today. But I generally would say the time where I actually blossomed and became like a real proper tattoo artist was actually when I went to Black Lodge and I met Vicky, Anna and Joe.
Yeah.
Particular Anna. Have you met Anna? Anna Tattoo?
No, I don't think I have.
She always go like, oh, I've been tattooing longer than you've been alive. So she's been in it for a long time.
Yeah.
She is incredible and she just knows what she's doing. So watching her, I just was like a sponge. So I felt like that was when I actually really begun to understand, like, because I feel like I would tattoo but not really understand. I would just do it
exactly
and not understand
what you were
how
doing.
I was doing it and what I was doing. I was just doing it and just hoping it would be all right. And then when I met Anna, I actually like learned the science behind
The theory, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh wow, because her work was healing perfectly every time. And I was like, you're good at this. So after being like around her, I'm so grateful for it. But that I generally think is where I kind of like stepped up my game. I was like, right, now I know how to have like good healed pieces. Now I can focus on doing some mad shit.
Yeah, and that's what's important. That's the fundamentals. That's sort of something I always try and kind of pass on. I mean, I had like a healthcare background, and I'm like, I get quite obsessed about the theory side of stuff and why the skin's behaving the way it's behaving. So I like to pass that on. It's so important. And then as soon as you understand that, you can see the work improve. Talk to me about then moving from that studio to Black Lodge, and the reason for that and how you kind of found that.
So I was actually approached by Victoria Rose. Have you met her before?
No.
Oh my God, I love her so much. She is Northern girl. I love her. through and through. She lives in Barcelona now, unfortunately. But I was actually at, I think it was Southampton Tattoo Convention. I'd never met her, never met any of them. And I was tattooing like non-stop, just trying to make a bit of money. And then she was like, Abby, I looked up. I recognised her. You know when you just know people, but you never spoke to them. And I was like, hi, you okay? It's like, do you want to work with us? Like, maybe. Sat around all my other studios, so I was like, I don't want to say yes right now. It's a bit awkward. I was like, message me after, and she was like, we're creating this all-female space and we really want to invite you into it, so are you interested? And I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Like I couldn't wait. However, the space wasn't ready to go, and at the time I didn't have loads of money, so she was like, so you can like do up your area, and then we at the time Black Lodge was 2 separate rooms downstairs, and then eventually we brought it upstairs. Yeah. So her and Nana already had a room that they were tattooing from, or about to. I can't remember what, but anyway. And then there was this other room that was available, which I could have, but I needed to do the floor. I had to put plaster in. I had to paint the whole thing. I had to get a sink put in to make sure that it would get passed by health and safety. Shit. So I had to pay a lot of money. And when you haven't got a lot of money in the bank, so what I was doing is, I actually worked at Soul in Space for a little bit. Sorry. So confusing.
No, not at all. No, I'm following it completely.
So when I knew I was leaving, I told Jordan I'm going this way. He said fine. And then I had Justin Morris, who had Stolen Space, message me. Again, never met him, but he was like, hey dude, do you want to work with me? And I was like, well, I'm already leaving my space, but I'd probably say it's at least 4 months until I'm going to get in there. And he was like, I've got this new studio. I have no artists, and I didn't think about it this far, but I thought it's a beautiful studio ready to go. Do you want to come and see it? So I was like, all right, why not? And I lived around the corner from him, met him. We fell in like a friendship love straight away. We just bonded. And I was like, I want to work with you, even if it's just for like 2-3 months, let's do it. And then hopefully I can help bring like other artists in. And then when I leave, he's in a better position than he is right now because he didn't have anyone. Yeah. So I said, fuck it, let's do it. So I moved away from the gallery, went to Stolen Space there. I had like the best couple of months that I was almost sad that I was doing this journey of like creating my own little kind of studio, because I just didn't want to leave him because we just got on so well. But I was like, right, it's time, we've got to leave. So then I moved on, and then I had enough money because I was basically paying for everything as I was tattooing. So like I'd tattoo for a couple of days, pay for this or the other, and then finally it was ready for me to go. And then Jo Chastney came in, and then she was working with me, and then we had the room together. And I can't remember, I'm so bad with dates. I think it was a couple of years that we were both working separately, and all we wanted to do was work together. So then upstairs, when that became available, because that's one straight floor, we were like, fuck it, let's do that. So then we paid for that to become tattooable again. So it was constant just money going in.
This is like a recurring theme. I think people don't really appreciate it. They think they can get into tattooing and get into the industry, and it's all just going to be like shitloads of money, and like it's just a struggle. I mean, I was doing the same. Again, it was like for years just trying to scrape money together to get it all. So
working just to pay for stuff as you're going.
It's crazy. But yeah, it's cool to see how you've gone through all of those stages. To be approached that often, you know what I mean? People can obviously see that you're.
Yeah, I suppose I never thought about that.
Yeah, and a lot of artists
as well.
It was my destiny. A lot of artists kind of talk about how important it is to have that relationship and friendship with the people that you're working with.
Oh my God, they're like family.
Yeah.
You have to love them. You spend so much time with them. Like if you don't love them as well, it's just not as fun. Yeah. I've worked in situations where it's been less connected, but I feel like until you're in a position where everyone loves each other, you don't realise how disconnected it was. And then you're like, oh wow, I'm spoiled now. I literally work with my best friends, like my family. Yeah. And like now I work here during the week, and then on weekends I work at Part of My Friends with Tyler and the gang. Yeah. And it just makes my heart explode because I love them all so much.
Yeah, it's nice. You've got a nice balance of both. Talk to me a little bit about how that kind of came to be. I know you guys have been mates for a while, yeah?
So I've known Tyler. I actually met her in person first time at Brighton Tattoo Convention. We were both walking around and then we like bumped into each other. She was like, Abby, it's like Tyler. Had like a cuddle. I was like, wow, I love her vibe. I love her energy. Incredible. And she was just building Part of My French at the time. Yeah. And she had messaged me and was like, do you want to be the first ever guest artist? I was like, yeah, amazing. And she wanted to get a tattoo. There was a guy, Aaron, that worked there at the time, and he wanted to get a tattoo from me too. So she was like, it makes even more sense. Like, come down the night before. We can have like a little like lock-in tattoo party. You can tattoo us, and the next day we can do your guest spot. So I was like, okay, amazing. Brought Zeus down with me as well, and he was just like going crazy around the studio whilst we were tattooing. It was a really cute setup. I was very happy. And we just got on straight away, became like good friends instantly. And then over the years, I continued doing guest spots, and our friendship just grew more and more. And then when I moved here, I didn't even realise how close part of my French was. I was just like thinking like, okay, I'm setting up a private studio. I've never done a private studio before. I don't know if I'm going to like it. I don't know if it's going to be one of those things that I'm like, oh, I'm lonely. I want some friends. I love having the social side to the industry. So I was like, I don't know if I'm depriving myself from that. So I was looking around. I wonder where part of my French is. And it's like 25 minutes away. I was like, shut the front door. Wrong time. Like, babe, I'm like 25 minutes away. Can I work at your studio? Of course you can.
Sick.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, I was literally going to ask you this about like whether you prefer to work alone or kind of within a busy studio. You mentioned obviously one of the main reasons that you kind of decided to open this private space was to be able to provide like a level of comfortability for your clients.
1,000,000%.
Talk to me about that and maybe balancing your time between the two.
So a lot of my tattoos are, well, majority are female, and a lot of them are a big part of their body where they need to be like sometimes even like fully nude, just because I need to be able to see where their body is, so they can cover that bit.
Yeah, the intimate bit.
But they have to be exposed quite a lot. And in the past, I would have it where, because I've always worked with guys involved as well, I'd have to come in extra early, make sure no one's coming in, pre-warn, don't come in. I don't want a female to have to feel exposed, or because they want to get tattooed by me, be under pressure to put themselves in a position they're not happy to be in.
Right.
So I was like...
Especially for that long as well.
Yeah. And like... especially if it's like a full torso and they're sat there in a room that's not always the warmest either, and I can't control everything because it's a shared space. So I just felt like I felt uncomfortable for them. Even if they were sweet and they said, oh, I'm fine, I'm not even bothered, I overthink everything. Yeah. And I'm like I have like a host complex. Like I feel the need to like wait on people like, are you okay? Can I get you a blanket? Are you fine? And when I'm in a situation where I'm not in control of everything, I just overthink in my head, like, is she okay? And then, like, as other tattooists, it's nice. They come over, how are you doing? How's it going? They have little chats with you. I'm thinking, does this make her feel uncomfortable right now?
Yeah, you want to remove that worry, 100%. Yeah. I'm the same. I want to be able to just focus on what I'm doing and make sure that they can feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I still work in the studio on the weekends, so it gives people the opportunity, if they do really want to get tattooed by me, but they feel that is a worry for them, they just come to me during the week. So for me, it answered that question in my head where I was like, are people compromising their own comfortability just to be tattooed by me? Or are they actually bothered and they don't care? Yeah. So it kind of healed that for me, because it was a big worry for me.
It's the best of both worlds, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Would you say that you predominantly tattoo women?
Yeah.
Do you get many male requests?
Do you know what? I do. For dot work mainly. Actually, I used to do a lot of realism. I kind of moved. When I did a lot of realism, it was mainly men that I did. But I've always done a mixture of so many different, well, not so many. I've done like dot work, mandala stuff. Realism.
Yeah, but there is, because and then you've got floral, you've got your kind of like your style of like miniature, soft black and grey realism.
Yeah, I went through a phase when I first started doing realism. I became obsessed, and then it was almost booked in. So I did quite a lot of men then, and then when I started doing more fine line, and I found good needles that could get me that like crisp, like proper good line, I was like, oh, I like this.
Make sure you try the ghost ones.
Yeah,
plug that in there.
Yeah.
Right, little word about some of my favourite cartridges from Ghost. These are the Nano, and obviously, as the name suggests, they're designed for a lot of the finer work. These go all the way down to a 0.18mm up to a 0.35. Now, the ones I've got here are a 3-liner in the 0.2 and a 1-liner in the 0.25. Make sure you go and grab yourself some exclusively from Star. If you use the code ATFCT10, you get 10% off as well.
But once I found like the stuff that could help me create these like decent up to scratch pieces, I then became obsessed with fine line, and I started like mixing it all together, and I like got a buzz out of doing a bit of realism, bit of dot work, like a bit of a mashup. So I've kind of changed over the years. I'd say now I rarely do realism unless it's like flowers.
And is it more small scale?
I don't do large scale roses anyway. If it is, it will just be like something on the wrist or something. It won't be crazy. But I feel like depending on what I post on Instagram is what I get the requests, so that as they kind of like mirror each other. So when I was doing lots of realism, I got lots of requests of realism. Now I do lots of like bandalas and dot work. That's what I get asked for.
Yeah, it's like the more you put out there,
Yeah, which I'm aware of. Even if I do a tattoo that I loved and I really like the way it looks, if I didn't enjoy doing it as much and I'm aware of that and I don't really want to do any more of them, even if I really like it, I won't post it because I know that there's a good chance straight away someone's going to go, I want that. Can they give me a request? And I'm going to go, no.
Yeah, 100%.
So instead I don't tease them because I think I used to do that and I used to annoy people when I'd say, oh, I didn't really want to do that, and they'd be like, well, you did it last week.
Oh yeah, see, I get this, but like it's very difficult to try and explain to a client that you want to kind of try and I always, at least me, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but always want to try and kind of like continuously evolve my style and not get stuck in like just in one thing. At least that's me. You
also really want to be invested and enjoy what you're doing. And if your heart's not in it, I think it's really obvious and clear that they're not loving whatever it is you've asked them to do.
Yeah, and it just becomes like it's just the job then. You're just doing it because of the request or whatever.
I just think there's so many tattooists within our industry now. It's crazy for me to take on a job that I'm not that like worried about. I'm just not going to have this like exciting thing about when there's another artist that would love that and thrive off of it. So why am I going to take that?
Yeah.
I'd rather say like, do you know what, this actually probably would suit so-and-so, like message them. And then if you do actually manage to, they do actually follow through, message them. It's such a nice feeling if you get a message from the other artist being like, thanks, man, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. So I'll have a client email me and be like, oh, I think he recommended you. And I'm like, wow.
Isn't that the nicest feeling when another artist has gone out of their way to say to someone like, do you know what, that isn't really a bit of me. However, I think it's just so lovely.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah, really appreciate it. It's really nice. And I always try and make sure I do the same.
Yeah, no, me too.
Yeah, it's that fine line.
It's karma, isn't it?
Yeah.
You put out, you receive.
Too right. On a little side note, because I've noticed that you've got a lot of like that real kind of soft fine line stuff on you. Who does your work?
Annabelle. Oh my God, she's really good.
Lucan?
That's it. Is that how you say it? Lucan.
I don't know.
Annabelle Lucan.
I might have just butchered that surname.
Adore her and her work. I actually met her whilst I was on a guest spot at Vaporwave, Jade's studio. And I remember just watching her work and my brain was just blown. I was like, you are so talented. Like, wow. I'm thinking, I just want you to cover my whole body in your work. I think it's one of those things when people say it and you're probably like, oh, she doesn't probably mean it. I messaged her like, no, seriously, can you cover like my whole body with your work, please? I just wanted her roses, only her roses. And like now it's the only flowers that I have on my body and I've got it all over my leg, all over my arm, sternum. I'm just, and I still want more.
That's what I was going to say. So have you got a plan for like, are you going full coverage? What are you doing?
I am not doing full coverage. No. I like having, it's one of those things where I love having tattoos, but I also like having them more like patchy. And
allowing it to breathe so you can actually see what you've got.
Yeah. I feel like there was very much a stage in tattooing, especially with like sleeves, unless every single bit of skin was covered, people didn't believe it was complete. I think the complete opposite. I'm like, you can have, obviously mine's more of a skin gap, but you can have skin gaps and they can complement the way it looks, or it can make it flow nicer, and you don't have to fill it to be complete. Like you can actually just be like, that looks lush, now I know to leave it. So I just like I'll probably add a little bit more to my arm, but I just, for me, for whatever reason, I don't feel the need to have every part of me. I like having like my back from my neck to my bum is quite a big, solid and quite dark piece. So I quite like also having that shock factor from like if I'm on holiday wearing a little bikini from the front, I don't look that tattooed. When I turn around and I've got this big old piece.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Yeah, it's sick. Yeah, you've got some really cool work. Really
Thank
cool.
you.
And I love her stuff. It's sick.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Yeah. I need to get back on the hype. I've been so busy. I want to get more stuff. I got so many shit ones when I was younger.
Did you?
Yeah, I was just like 18 and I was like, fuck it. And I didn't research it enough. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, I think that when
I'm making an effort now with the space I have got left to really kind
of. When I was 18, that was when I got my apprenticeship, and it was like the riskiest place to be because all you want to do is just get tattooed by everyone and you can get it for free. So in that time, you're like, yeah, great. But luckily, at the time, not so lucky, but luckily I was with a really controlling boyfriend at the time who told me he doesn't find girls with tattoos attractive. So I was allowed to tattoo him, but he wouldn't allow me to get tattoos. I know it sounds ridiculous saying allow me, but at the time I was young, naive, would not stand for that now, but I just went along with it. And it now, thank God, because of the stuff that I wanted like lace all tattooed up my arm.
Yeah. And it wouldn't have been anywhere near as fine.
No, it would have been so bad. I remember sticking on the carbons and being like, oh, I want this. I made this like geometric pattern myself that I put on my back, and I was determined to get it done. And he was this like, just like, no, do not get that, and was really mean about it. So I didn't. Now I'm like, thank God.
Yeah, what is that about?
I know. It was a blessing in disguise though. Like, I'm really glad that for whatever reason, the universe had my back and made sure I had a controlling man in my life to stop me from making silly decisions.
There's that recurring theme, innit? Obviously someone's got you covered.
1 million%.
Yeah, that's it. Right, let's switch it and talk a little bit about life outside of tattooing. Sticking to obviously tattooing, but what I really want to know, and something I always kind of try and understand with the guests, as tattoo artists, especially someone with your kind of like your caliber, you must be quite busy. Do you tend to find that you spend a lot of time out of work just creating for the hell of it, or is designing outside of work predominantly for your tattoos?
I would say I rarely actually have time to draw for me.
Yeah.
So the only time I've actually ever drawn for me is actually those 2 drawings behind you, and they were during lockdown. And the one on the right, the butterfly lady, I made purely because I needed to pay my bills at the time.
The watercolour?
It was a mixture of pencils and watercolour.
Yeah.
But at the time I was going on Instagram and doing lives, and then people, because no one had anything to do, everyone was bored. So that gave them something to like, I don't know, look and watch and keep them occupied whilst they were just bored out of their brain.
Yeah.
So
I did a lot of painting in lockdown.
Yeah, it was great. And I remember thinking like, wow, I never do this. So that kind of like made me more aware that I only really draw when I have a brief and I know what I need to do and I'm doing it for someone else.
Yeah.
Like before I started drawing that, I sat there and I was like, what do I want to draw? And I was like, what do I want to draw? Like, fuck. I'm so used to people just telling me what to do and I just do it. So it was weird because I didn't realise how much I was just doing anything other than what I wanted to do personally. So that was probably the last time I actually drew something for me. And then since then, everything I've drawn has either been tattoo designs or if I'm going to the convention, stuff like that. But again, tattoo designs again, like... So no, I rarely actually have the time to draw for me.
Do you feel like some guilt?
Because how weird is that?
I don't know, because I can tell that you kind of feel like that.
I'm like, admitting that. I'm like, I'm guilty. I'm sorry. I'm a bad artist.
No, but and that's it. You feel like, but I think any artist listening to this right now will be able to kind of.
Do you know what it is? Because I
understand
have
that.
So many designs that I have to draw for people, I feel guilty if I draw for me because I'm like, I need to design this person because they're paying me. Like, this is my job. So I need to prioritize them. If I start drawing for me, I literally feel like I'm being naughty because I'm like, no, I've got stuff to do. This is wasting time.
Yeah.
So I just don't prioritize myself within my creative. It's
mad.
sad,
No, it's mad.
it?
No, completely. And you almost have to make a conscious effort to do it. But the time, like, is so limited. I'm the same. Like, I wish I could get back to what I really loved about it, which was like, I used to do like little small paintings and kind of like a lot of fine art and acrylic stuff.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I did any of that.
Crazy,
or real
isn't it?
Pencil or like even just biro or anything.
Yeah.
It's all iPad now and it's all drawing for a reason.
I mean, I'm not knocking the iPad though. It's godsend.
Yeah, oh God, 100%. Sometimes it feels nice to be able to take it back to the roots, you know, but obviously when you've done more than I have in the last couple of years. So, no, it's good. It's good to hear. Talk a little bit about obviously your kind of life in the public eye and your time on the TV. Obviously you were on Love Island. Was it 2021?
I don't know, season 7.
Season 7.
Not the one that's just been, not the one that's on, not the one that's been the one before.
Yeah. I guess I want to know, how do you manage to combine your like that online presence and sort of online influencer effectively
I hate that word.
career? I know, but we have to kind of address it. How do you manage to combine that with tattooing? Do the two marry well, or is it a bit of a conflict?
So when I first come out the villa, I really struggled with your life changes overnight, and it was a lot of attention on me, and I've never been in that sort of position, so I didn't know how I was going to deal with it. I did not handle it well. So instead of thriving and being in the spotlight and having all these new opportunities, I literally just hid myself away for like literally months, like hardly even left the house. It was still on whilst I came out, so it was like loads of people were still talking about it. So it was really strange and I just wasn't prepared for it. So then instead of kind of like becoming a full-time influencer and like doing all of that, I kind of did like the opposite to what a lot of people have done. Didn't really do any of that and just went straight back into tattooing. And then like the papers were being like, oh, she's quit that. She's now gone back to her day job. I'm like, I never stopped doing my day job. Like just because I went on a show doesn't mean I'm forgetting my roots and who I am. And I never went on there to become an influencer. Like I know everyone knows you kind of get given it on a plate, but it's up to you whether or not you want to pursue it. So
and make something of it. But you can guarantee if you'd have done the opposite, they would have like said something about that as well. So you couldn't have won.
No, yeah. I think when I went on there, it was one of those things where I didn't know what was going to happen. And I've never even thought about going on it. I hadn't even actually watched a Love Island live until I found out I was going on it. And I was like, oh, I better watch some of this to actually know what's going on. But because I'd never watched one live and followed it, I didn't actually understand. I was quite naive. I didn't know how quickly like the followers grow and like how all the memes on Twitter and everyone's like, 1 minute they hate someone, next minute they love them. Like I was really naive to that. So I kind of went in blindly like, man, like the universe, for whatever reason, wants me to do it. Okay. Why not? Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really something you should just say no to, I don't think. I think, it's good to always be open to new opportunities for sure.
Yeah, they made it clear as well. Like when they first started speaking to me and offered me the place, they were like, just to let you know, because I was quite close, I'm not sure if I really want to do it. Because I didn't apply, they scouted me. It wasn't something that I'd already had the thought process or thought like, oh, this is something I want to do. So when they said, oh yeah, we want you, I went, oh, well, I don't know if I want you. And then they were like, well, just to let you know, if you say no to us, we will not ask you again. So it's like a now or never situation. So I don't know if that's true. Because I mean, Adam's gone on it twice and probably maybe not now, but I wasn't sure this is the life I wanted. I remember talking to my family about it. My sister was like, Abs, you were the only person I know who is so content with their life and really loves it. Why do you want to risk that? Why do you want to change it? And I think at the time, because I was a little bit like tunnel vision, I was like, I think I'll be all right. I think I'll be sweet. Like, I'm tough. I'm strong. I'm good. Turns out I'm not strong as fuck. But it was one of those things where I felt like if I didn't do it, because I'm such an overthinker, I would always be like, oh, what if? Like, it would like kill me. And I would always be like, oh, I wonder what would happen. Or,
you would, of course you would. I mean, I feel like that would be natural for anyone to think, oh yeah, what if, you know? Let's talk about like kind of, have you had any negative effects of kind of, or found any negative effects of being in the public eye?
Yeah, but to be honest, it's mainly because of me. Like I'm the reason why I care too much about what people think, and it's something I'm working on. And just because a stranger might not like me for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. They can live their life. They won't think twice about that horrible comment they said to me online. And I'll think and there'll be like a million people saying lovely things, and I'll just push them to the side and I'll focus on that one thing, and it'll like rip me apart. So it's made me realise that I'm definitely not as strong as I thought I first was, and I needed to just stop caring so much about just the opinions of people that I'm never going to meet.
Yeah.
And then I started the mentality of like, unless I know them, doesn't matter. If someone knows me and have an opinion about me and they actually really know me, I'll take that on board, and that'll be something I'll have to think about. Whereas if it's a stranger, don't even think about it. I don't even read my comments now. Like when I first post stuff, I don't look at it. And the next day I'll just like all like the nice stuff. And other than that, I won't even put any thought into it. And if it's horrible, I just delete it. I'm like, you don't deserve to be on my page.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. You just don't give them the time.
Don't reply. Just
don't get involved. I mean, how do you deal with that? I guess I wanted to know. And I guess it's just kind of remain.
I was very lucky during my time in the villa. I didn't really do anything that sparked like a massive debate. I think more than anything, the main thing that I got was like pity, as in like people felt sorry for me.
Why?
Did you not watch it?
No, I didn't watch it. I'm afraid. Sorry.
I was.
I've seen clips and stuff, but I never watched that. I never watched it.
Yeah, I think for me, I fully put myself out there, and I think the word's rejected a couple of times.
Rejected.
Ego spikes, not. Yeah. But no, it's fine. So I think because people watching that, it kind of makes people want to go, oh, poor her. Like every guy that I was put myself out for was like someone else, and I was like,
oh shit. Do you think that works in your favour? Maybe.
Well, yeah, but especially now because I'd come out with people almost wanting to look after me rather than like rip me down. So at the time when I thought it was just horrendous, and I was like, mate, I'm on national telly getting pushed back constantly. Like, this is the worst thing. How awful. But then obviously since coming out, instead people were like, oh, you deserve better, babe. Or like, they didn't know what they were doing. So it was almost like, you know, when someone has a breakup and they're like, he didn't deserve you. Like, you're better than him.
Yeah.
That was the kind of chat.
But more often than not, that's true, you know, like.
Yeah, well, whatever. It's at the end of the day, like, it's Love Island. But it's just, it was nice that when I come out, because you do think when you're in there, I was personally, I was in my own head. I was like, God, there's probably memes going around about me, or there's stuff being said about me, or like you could say something. And then the second you say it, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that because now everyone might hate me. And then like when you come out, you realise that none of that story of yours was even taken part of it because it wasn't part of the storyline. So you're actually not that important. But at the time I was like, this is massive.
You must have had a bit of a mindset before you went in. I guess what was that mindset? And did you go in with a bit of an idea of how you wanted to be? And was there anything, maybe could you tell me one thing during that experience that was like took you by surprise and really shocked you? Or was just not what you expected?
So my mindset going in, so I'm like a massive believer of the universe. No, I don't know what I just do. I'm all about energy. And I've never once even thought, or the thought crossed my mind of, I would love to go on Love Island, or I would think about that. And then when they messaged me on Instagram, I remember thinking, that is so random. Like, why has that happened? And I used to have a mood board and it had all these things that was on it. And I was like, maybe in order to accomplish these, this is the path that I need to go down. I remember talking to my friends about it and quite a few of them were like, you are not a Love Island sort of person. I was like, I know, but I mean, why not? Like, what's the worst going to happen?
Yeah,
and everyone was like, everyone can hate you can get cancelled. Like, I was like, yeah, maybe. But at the same time, I do believe like you can get cancelled, but you also have to do
something to get cancelled.
Yeah, and like, I believe that I'm not rude.
That whole culture, cancel
like,
culture nowadays.
Racist or homophobic, like the things that quite a lot of people get caught, like tripped up on, I'm not. So I kind of felt quite safe, as in like, I don't think I'm really a dick, so maybe I won't look like a dick. But I know they can cut and chop stuff up and whatever. But I felt quite secure in who I am to be like, I think I'll be sweet. Like, I actually don't think it's as risky because I'm not a particularly like fiery, loud person. I'm more of like the calmer one that resolves the situation. Yeah. So I think I'll be all right. Like, it'll be fine. And yeah, when I went, it was fine. And I had all pretty much, I think the most, when I first come out, the only comment that I found that people would say is, oh, she was a bit boring. I was like, if that's the worst you can give me, I'll take it.
Do you know what I mean? It's all right to come out like that.
Yeah. I am a bit boring. Like, I am, like, when it comes to like drama, I'm like, this is not my drama. I'm gonna sit out of this. Like, you guys, I'm not gonna get up and get involved. That's
not worth it.
No. So yeah, as far as it comes to reality TV, I am a boring person and I'll take it.
I love that.
I'm here for the easy life.
Yeah, trust me. Yeah, what any experiences throughout that you were kind of like, was there anything like just with it being on the show that was just like, fuck,
the weirdest experience I had was when I first walked in. I didn't realise that the Love Island producers or whoever runs it, they speak to you through speakers. So I walked in, I said my hi.
In the villa?
Yeah. So I walked in with Georgia and Tyler. We said hi to everyone, hugged everyone. And all of a sudden this voice came out of nowhere. And they're like, Highlanders, can you all sit around the fire pit, please, and talk to the girls about this, that and the other? And I was like, who the fuck was that? And they called it the voice of God. So we were like, oh, voice of God said do this. So it was weird because I was like, oh, I had like a feeling of like, I'm on like a TV set because I could see them acknowledge the voice. Then go, all right, let's go over. And it was just so normal because obviously by that point they'd been there for like a month. Yeah.
Was it quite easy to forget that cameras and stuff were there? Was it, or were they really in your face?
Not at first. The cameras are like little robots that are in the ceiling. They like follow you around and stuff. There's no cameramen, especially because it was during COVID. Like, we had no contact with any other humans. We were like isolated fully. So you don't really see the cameras other than like now and again you see them like spinning or whatnot, but they're not in your face. But it was more just, that experience, like having this voice out of nowhere communicate with them and everyone just like go along with it. I was like, that's really weird. I didn't know that. They didn't tell me that we're going to communicate through these speakers. And because we have a mic round at all times, we can talk to them. I can say like, oh, can I do this or blah, blah, blah. and then they'll reply to you. It's so weird.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things I just don't think you can prepare yourself for. You were obviously a tattoo artist. You are a tattoo artist, and you were way before you got onto the show. Has life kind of changed dramatically, or do you think?
In what way?
Well, I don't know. I mean, have you noticed any sort of dramatic changes in your life, or is it?
Well, my workload has dramatically changed, but that's obviously through me choosing to.
Yeah.
I used to work like unhealthy amount. I was obsessed. Like tattooing became an obsession. I mean, it's a good type of addiction to get, I suppose. But I just would not have days off. Like my customers would laugh when I'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to take next week off." They'd be like, "Good one, bet you don't." Never did.
No.
I was just obsessed with it, and I think actually lockdown. When we came back to working after lockdown, I just couldn't do every day anymore. I was like, I'm exhausted. For whatever reason, I can't just keep going. Like, I think I've had the easy life and the chilled out life. Now I can't switch it back to 100%. So that's a big part of it. But yeah, I touched on it earlier saying how when I first come out, I had like this new social media life, which literally just gets handed to you on a plate. All of a sudden you have hundreds of thousands of followers. And I'm like, fuck, I didn't have this before. And before, I never had a personal page. I only have a tattoo page. So I've never, since having Instagram, I've never had a page that's solely for selfies of myself or whatever.
Yeah.
It's been about my art.
Do you find it difficult to like to keep it up, or is it?
At first,
does it come naturally now?
At first, I struggled so much, and I was like, I'm not cut out for this. Like, this is not a bit of me. There's a lot of pressure. And like when in the past I struggled with like my appearance, it really played on that as well. Like, because I always felt the need to look good. I was like, if I'm promoting something, I also want to look nice. I'm not going to feel comfortable and posting it. And when you do go on a show like Love Island, where appearance is something that's so widely spoken about, you do kind of get like stuck where people think that it's really like okay to just say whether or not they think you look nice or not, or like if you've put on weight, or like, oh, is she pregnant, or if they always want to know about your love life. It's quite intrusive, like because you went on a show like that, it's almost like the public for the rest of your life feel like they are entitled to knowing stuff that you wouldn't ask like a random person or another influencer you don't know. You don't assume that you deserve to know who you're dating and how you met and why you've put on a stone. Like it's this really it's a really strange place.
It's like, leave me alone.
Yeah, so it went from just me having like my tattoo profile with mainly work. Sometimes the stories were personal, and like maybe once a month I'll post a selfie, more just because I wanted people to know like the face behind the business. And then all of a sudden this page like dedicates like my outfit of the day and watch me get ready with me. This is how I do my makeup. But you will be surprised about the DMs I get of people being like, what's your makeup routine? What do you use before you go to bed? How do you do your hair like that? Where did you get those joggers from? I have constant questions of people wanting to know where I buy everything that I have, or where I got something. And it is overwhelming at first, but you do just get used to it.
Yeah.
It becomes, I think it was because I've never had anything like that before. It was just readjusting to something and just getting the swing of it. And like now I've got like all of my platforms that I use, and it's quite natural to me. But when I first got like dropped into the deep end, I was like, I don't know how to do any of this.
Well, it does, and that's it. It does look natural. And I think you are clearly a positive role model. You're doing a lot of good things, and you're using it for good, which is nice to see on social media. Even just looking at giving to charity for the recent earthquake, talk to me a little bit about how that happened.
So I'm like a very emotional person, and there's all these people sharing the videos and pictures of all of the turkey, and it was just horrendous. And when I was watching all these videos, I was thinking, oh my God, I was like crying, and my partner was like saying, so, what's happened? Are you okay? Are you okay? And I was like, so much going on in Syria and Turkey. Like, I just feel like I need to do something like right this second. He was, what would you want to do? It was, I don't know. What can I do? And like in the past, during lockdown, I did a raffle to create money in order to, so I said day session, £10 a ticket, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And like within like an hour, like sold out. Obviously at that time, everyone was on their phones. It was a lot easier. And I was like, I've made money before through doing this, but that was for myself. So maybe this time by offering the same service, but saying donate to charity, it will work the same. So
Yeah.
because I had done something similar, to me, it just made so much sense. Like, right. And the first thing in my head, I was like, GoFundMe, loads of people use that. I'm just going to use that. I'm going to set one up right now. I actually had the busiest day when I did it. I was driving up to Bournemouth after that. So I was like, I've got 20 minutes, set up, bish, bash, bosh, posted it. I was like, the video that I didn't even like, usually I'm so used to taking like second or third takes to try and get it right. I literally first time I was like, this, that, and the other, half the things I said and it was wrong. I was like, I don't even care. I'm posting it because I just felt so compelled in that moment to just do something, anything. Like, I don't know, I could have just donated the money I would have made from doing a day session, but I just felt like had this platform. The opportunity was I could make a lot more than what that one day session was. And in the end, it did end up being like good. I have to admit, I was hoping it to be a bit better. I wanted it to like explode. Like in my head, my thought was, I've got 400,000 followers. If all of them donate £1, that's like £100,000, bro. Like this is a lot. But it didn't work so well. But there was like one guy donated 200 quid. And I don't know him. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. Like it made me so emotional. Every time I would check it and I could see all these people donating, like some of them like crazy amounts. Like even just like the little amounts, £5, like every little helped so much. I was like, this is making my heart so full that people care enough and they want to help.
It's so good that you can be in a position to be able to do that and help, you know. If you're listening, make sure you donate. If you're enjoying the podcast this week, don't forget to leave us a rating and a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. It really helps the podcast grow. Nice. Well, a little bit of a deep one. I guess what I really want to know, what's one thing that you wish people understood about you?
Wish that people understood about
Switch
me.
it up and go really deep.
Probably, I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's ever a time that I've been like, I wish they just knew this. I don't know. Because I feel like since going on the show, quite a lot of people know me now. Because I would say like I'm quite a sensitive soul, but
do you feel like people? Well, no, I have to. You tell me. But do you feel like people know you now?
Oh yeah, 1,000,000%. Like I find it now. Like when people do approach me, I kind of get thrown off because they'll go, Abby, oh my God, how are you? They'll like hug me and I'm thinking, have I tattooed you? Do I know you now? Have I forgotten? Or are you someone that watches Love Island? Because they approach you so casually. I'm like, I don't know how to respond.
And then you're like, yeah, and it's then awkward, like, should I remember who you
Obviously,
are?
I'm like, yeah, great, I'm fine, thanks. I'm like, do we know each other? And it's either like, yeah, you've tattooed me. And I'm like, fuck, sorry, I've got your face. Well, so you don't look at their face, you're looking at their arm, like your intensity. So it is quite hard to actually remember every face. And my memory is so bad. So I'm awful. The amount of times like someone's coming and I'm like, have you been tattooed before? And they're like, yeah, by you twice. I'm like, other than that, I'm just horrendous when it comes to memory. But yeah, when people approach you, it can sometimes throw me off whether or not they do know me. But I think because I was on a show where you do get to show your personality and who you are, I do think people are more like, they feel like they know me, or they'll talk to me like they're my friend. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, you know so much about me.
Yeah,
so
nice.
weird.
Oh, good. Well, I mean, it's a perfect answer. I mean, to be able to have that, I think there's a lot of people that probably, feel like, I don't know, people might have misconceptions about them or whatever. So for you to be so open.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah,
like,
it's
1,000,000%.
good.
I've had a few people actually that I've tattooed since the show. And they've been like, oh, if they've been quite young, they're like, oh, well, the thought of like going to tattooist and not really knowing them, it can be really like worrying. But because I already knew that you were nice, it was fine. And I was like, oh, that's nice. That's cool. So I think it definitely is something that it plays like a good factor within my favour. Like people do appreciate that they don't need to get worried. I'm not like this scary tattooist.
Yeah.
They haven't got a face to it. They already know who I am.
Yeah, it's nice. It is nice. Who inspires you as well? Are there any people in your life, whether that's inside the tattooing or outside, that really inspire you and push you to kind of? So
going like way back artistic wise, my dad's always been really artistic and he was just incredible within his time when he did his job. It was very artistic driven and he was like my main inspiration to like be artistic, I'd say. Like just being like a classic daddy's girl and wanting to like impress your dad. And like, Dad, look what I drew. Although he definitely gave me like this horrible thing where every time I would show him something, he'll go, doesn't it finished? I'm like, what do you mean? And I go away and carry on. What about that? Don't I finish? It is in my brain now. Like, whenever I'm tattooing, I think that's why my work's so detailed. I can't do simplistic stuff because to me, not finished.
It doesn't feel right.
Dad's problem that he gave me that.
What did he do?
He just would just constantly be like, no, what job-wise?
Yeah.
So he used to design injector seats for fighter planes for Martin Baker's.
Oh my God.
How fancy is that?
Bloody hell.
He used to do it, so this was back in the day. Instead of having, like, he did go on to CAD eventually, but he'd have this massive graph paper and he would draw a 3D model, all through pencils, it was incredible. He's very good with maths as well, so you have to do it's kind of like hand in hand.
So it's all about graphic drawing, but all to scale and
then
stuff.
it'd be put on like a 3D printer and then it'd create this model of this little seat that he created. Wow. I was like, wow, you're so cool.
Yeah, that's it. Do you think that's where you've inherited that creativity?
100%. I remember being a kid and we would be like, right, drawing match, let's go, best butterfly. Obviously he'd always like win, but I'd be like, oh, I'm so much better than you.
That's sick. So cool.
Quick one about the podcast sponsor, Ghost Cartridges. So Ghost Cartridges are a tattoo cartridge and accessory brand and online retailer. Founded in 2017, they're known for their innovative products and they're supported by thousands of artists and customers worldwide.
Yeah, do you have maybe in your tattooing one career defining moment for you where you were like, that's it?
Do you know what? Yeah, actually. I had a very turning point of where I did, have you seen that swirly piece I did on the torso?
I think so.
So doing that style, that was, I felt quite, at the time, I don't know if there is, I still don't really think I've seen much of it. I hadn't seen people use bold, dark swirls, almost in a tribal sort of way, but making it super feminine and swirly.
That's coming back in though as well.
It is, isn't it? But at the time, I felt like it hadn't really been done. So it had the fear in me of like, maybe that's because it's going to look shit. Maybe it's not done for a reason. But I drew this piece up and I was like, I really want to do it. And then this girl, Laura, who I'm now really good friends with because I've spent so much time with her.
Yeah.
She was like, I love it, let's do it. And I remember being like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. What if this looks shit? So I was doing it, sticking it on her, and she had so much faith in me. And I was like, oh, okay, I hope this isn't wasted. And then by the time I finished that was probably the most boldest, because everything I do was like fine line and pretty and girly. This was still very feminine, but it was such a different spin.
Yeah.
And once I finished that, and then when I looked at it, I remember thinking, fucking hell, that looks cool. That looks mega. Like, that's different. That is bold. And I adore it. And it just looks so beautiful on her. I was like, fuck, this is what I'm like made to do. I'm made to like make females' bodies just look even more incredible than they already are. Use bits to just flow and emphasize or snatch, like just really make the most out of what they've got. And I just felt so incredibly proud and just so happy that I was able to have the opportunity. Like, she just trusted me fully. Don't know why, but she just did. And luckily, I was in love with it. And out of all of the ones I've done, I still think that's probably my favourite one.
Yeah.
But I think it's because that's where it started. And I was like, this is like a style that somehow because before I did that, I was like sat for ages drawing stuff and like, I want to do something different. I want to do this. Yeah, when I drew that, I was like,
that was it. That's where it clicked. Is it going to look cool?
Yeah, because I think, like back in the day, people would have like a rose of these like crappy little swells on it. That's the only time I really saw swells. I thought, is this am I just making something a bit tacky, really big?
Yeah, but all you've done is, but you've taken the design cues from that and
well, yeah, I think in tattooing, nothing is ever new because everything's been done. It's your take on it, which
same
can
with music
be new.
And fashion, isn't it?
Yeah, like we're all artists, we're all taking influence from each other. So I knew it wasn't something that I had created. I was just giving it a different path and hoping that it was going to look good. And then as soon as I finished, I thought, fuck me, that looks good.
Yeah. Yeah,
I did good. It's just buzzing, and she's so incredible. And now since, so she was always like, so she already had a leg sleeve and a sleeve by, I think both sleeves done. So she had her back free, her front free, and one leg. And she was like, I never want my back doing, so I just want you to do my torso. Finished her torso, and she went, I want a leg sleeve. So we did the same design that swells on her leg sleeve, and she went, fuck it, I want my back and bum doing. And I was like, you said. She's like, change my mind, I want it more. So she's just a walking advertisement of that style.
Yeah.
And she just looks, we've done her hands now since as well. It just looks so beautiful, and I'm so insanely proud that, and so grateful that she gave me the opportunity to be able to create something where no one's ever dedicated that much of their body to me personally. So it was something that I was just so humbled by, and like, wow, you look so cool, I did that.
Yeah, that is sick. It's so sick, isn't it? To see it come back and look at that stuff. Yeah, it's cool. It's the best job in the world, isn't it?
I completely agree.
I love it. Well, we'll kind of bring it to a close in a minute. I think what I would love to know from you, what do you think you need more of in your life?
Time.
Yeah, amen.
I want to burn his watch. Did you ever watch that back in the day?
Oh my God, where he could freestyle, but he could move around.
I'd probably never undo it. I was just forever sleeping.
Yeah.
I would love more time, but other than that, I think everything is good. What about you?
Yeah, time, balance. I need to overthink less.
Oh, I take it about overthinking. That is the worst thing. That is a really bad trait of mine. That is really
just like worrying about shit that is completely out of my control. I always want to know why. I want to know the why in everything. Like, why are they doing that? Why have they done that? Why are they behaving like that?
Someone can say something to me, and then like later on I'll be sat in bed and I'm like, why did they say that? Did I do something? And I'll start like deleting stuff or like reading through the conversations. Like
you can't change other people's. You can't. I mean, other people do their own thing. You can only change how you respond to it.
You have to stop worrying about other people.
Yeah.
I'm definitely doing better at that. Like I read this book, Thrive, and one is analogy. Is that the word?
Analogy.
He uses is so with overthinking. Think of every thought as like a balloon. The more air you put into it, the bigger it gets. So you can't ignore it. If you stop putting air into that balloon, it's going to eventually disappear and go away. I remember at the time I had an issue where I was dating someone and they had their ex talking to them, and I remember thinking, oh, this is going to blow up in my brain. I thought, I'm going to try and use this. Let me try and not think about it. And I generally, it's almost just like pushing it to the side of your brain. It did work. I didn't blow it up in my brain. I completely put it to the side and I thought, fuck, this shit works. Like, this is really good. Do I do it now? No. But it just works.
Yeah. It's just recognising it and trying to act on it.
Yeah. It's awareness, isn't it? Understanding like your unhealthy behaviours and then working out how to control them and to do better and to overcome and grow.
Yeah, for sure. Love that. And I'm with you completely on the whole like manifestation and law of the universe. And yeah, the more energy you put into something, the more you're going to see that develop. So why just allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got a good question left for you from the previous guest.
Oh no.
It's a good one. It's off key.
Okay.
And your question was?
Have you ever had a situation when you're tattooing someone, you're concentrating and stuff, and there's this awkward smell that comes as if someone's farted or something like that?
I tell you, bum darling, it's like, it's going to happen, isn't it?
Has it happened?
Yeah, it's natural. We're all human. It's one of those things as well. I think, especially with girls, they get so embarrassed. I'm like, babe, I fart too. So it's no biggie. And I can tell if I'm with someone, I can see they're quite an awkward sort of personality. I've always got the dog in the corner. So I'm like, Zeus, you're farting again. Really, they're thinking, oh, thank gosh, I think it's me.
Yeah. And you're like,
it doesn't matter though, does it? Like,
that's it. It's good. We're in a very kind of like, it's a very intimate environment, isn't it? You're spending this amount of time with people. I think that's the one piece.
Have you had any fart stories?
Have I had? Not that I can remember.
Really?
I've had some awkward situations before. But it's just, I mean, nothing maybe notable, but it's just, it is what it is. You know, you have like different people and different walks of life. We kind of see so many different people every day.
I love that though. You never know what you're going to get.
I wish I could offer you a humorous response to that, but I don't really have one.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's good. Do you have a question you want to leave for the next guest?
Yeah, I was thinking that earlier. So when you're tattooing, is there a thought or something that runs through your head like rent-free constantly that you always think about? Like, so for example, whenever I'm tattooing, for whatever, I don't know why, but I always think about films I want to watch. Like, I'll be dead into it, really focused, but obviously you're not thinking every day, ... Like, your brain does think about stuff. I don't know why, but I always think, oh, I really want to watch Harry Potter. I really want to try and talk fetchy. Like it just pops into my head. I rarely actually watch
So is this aimed at art? This is aimed at the artist. Is there anything that just lives in your head rent free while you're tattooing?
Yes. What is that thought that you always seem to think about? Because I always think, like every time I think about a film I watch, I'm like, I always do this. Why do I always think about films I want to watch when I'm tattooing? So that's what I want to know.
Yeah, it's almost tattooing's like therapeutic, isn't it? And you
1,000,000%.
you do go off into like a zone. Sometimes I'll find like, I don't know whether you do as well, you're in the middle of working and I zone out, you know, and then
100%.
some clients deal better with the pain by talking.
Yeah.
And you're almost like, I need to get into this.
I see, I'm quite chatty, so I do talk
You
a lot,
are.
I have to admit, yeah. Like, if anything, I'm almost awkward to the point where if it goes quiet, I'll just keep talking.
Oh, okay. Fine.
And the music helps. And that's actually probably the one negative from having my private studio. When I'm in an open studio, I feel like I don't have this feeling to always have to fill the emptiness with me speaking. If I'm in a big studio, they have other stuff to look at, or you eavesdrop to other conversation about because you don't mean to, we all do it. But when it's just me and them in this room, my hosting comes out and I just want to make sure they're comfortable, warm enough, happy, it's like a therapy session, isn't it? Like they tell you everything, they bare your soul, and I do the same back. And
Yeah.
if I've got something on my mind, I'm like, what do you reckon about this? So you do, it is like intimate, you do bond with them. And because I'm so chatty, by the end of it, it's just been like therapy session both ways. And we feel like we've known each other since school.
Yeah, it's so good. So if people want to book in with you, let's talk a little bit about where they can find you, and any conventions and guest spots you've coming up at least this year. What's the wait list like?
So I don't have a wait list. I don't do it like that. I went through a phase a few years ago. I did the whole wait list, closed book, open book thing. I found it very a lot of pressure, and I wasn't very good at it. So
It's quite restrictive.
like when my books would open, either I just had no motivation, or life was really busy at that time, or I had stuff going on, and I was like, I can't commit this time that I've been promising all of these people, and now it's here. I'm like, fuck, I can't do it. Don't want to do it. So the sort of person I learned that is not the way for me to do it. So my books are always open. And then because my life is more unpredictable with work now, instead of picking myself up solidly, I book myself up 2-3 times a week. And I kind of do it every 3-4 months as I go. And then I just keep trickling it in. And then like when I get requests coming in, if there's one that I really love, I'll book them in like straight away. But it's one of those ones where I don't really have a system. I just kind of book stuff in as I go. But no one really wants to know that because that's really awkward.
Yeah, I know. It's a really tricky one, isn't it? But we're like human, and you have to be able to work how you work best.
Yeah, I do it now, which is the best for me. Whereas before I tried my hardest to make it better for everyone else, but it just ripped me apart. And
It's almost like some clients only see artists with long wait lists as, no, that's impressive. And it's like, I couldn't do that. I need the flexibility in life to be able to plan stuff.
Have you ever booked yourself up like a lot? And
Yeah, I did it once, and I think I got to like, I don't know, 6-7 months. And then I was like, and it just was impossible. So I worked all the way through until I'd finished my last client, and I took a massive break. And then I just do like a month, 2 month rolling. I think I'm going to book. I mean, my book's open middle of March for 3 months, and then I'll shut it then before my birthday.
Yeah, I remember once, it's quite a few years ago, and I was like, right, I'm busy enough to book myself up now. I booked myself up a whole solid year and said, right, my books are closed. That was probably the worst tattoo year of my life. I'm being dead honest. Like, it got to the point where I booked myself up so solidly. I wanted to go on holidays. I didn't pre-plan that. I couldn't really do anything. There was birthday parties. I won't drink the night before I tattoo. So there'll be someone's birthday, or I'll be like, oh, babe, I don't want to come. Like, it's just no point. I'm working in the morning. Like, people were giving us so much money. You have to like respect that and give them your 100%. So if I'm coming in half cut, it's not going to work. Like,
And then your social life drops, and then mentally you go,
And then it just got to the point where I remember I had really bad toothache, and I was in a lot of pain, and I messaged my customer, and I was like, is there any chance I could move in? I was going to move them to like the Sunday or days that I don't need to work. And he was like, no, I'm really sorry. Like, I've booked off work. And he was already booked his trains and stuff. He was like, oh, it's going to have to be. I remember tattooing the whole day. I was in agony, and I thought, why have I done this? Like, I have no like leg room to like move people, no wiggle room. And it just made me think like, I created something which I love and is my passion, and I actually made it into a job. Whereas before, like now, I see it as like a hobby I get paid for. I'm so fortunate to be in a position where it is, I've got it to the point where people come to me for stuff that I really love doing. I get so excited about doing. And then when I book it in, it's not because I have to, it's because I want to. And I think I'll always be so grateful, especially because like social media, now that I have different incomes, it's not like, well, I don't really want to do it, but I'll do it because it pays the bills. Like I can now kind of pick from both sides. I'll only work with like brands that I want to work with, and I'll only do tattoos that I definitely want to do. So I feel like I'm in like a really good position where I can be really picky. I'm a bit smug about it because I'm like, there's no pressure. So yeah, I'm really grateful that I found myself where I am now, and I've got into a position where I can balance them both and be like really content.
Yeah. Oh, good for you. It's been great to just sort of sit down with you and have a chat with you and just kind of understand, just a little bit more. I mean, I've followed you on socials for a while, at least for your tattoo insider stuff. I'm not really a big Love Island fan, but I think to have got where you've got and like the quality of your work is inspiring. You're obviously very down to earth, and it's just been
Thanks.
It's been really good. It's been cool. I'll just end it with a deep one, really. And I guess something I always love to know is like, what do you want people to remember you for when you're gone, I guess?
Oh, tattooing and not Love Island. Instead of being like Abby from Love Island, I want people to look at me and go, that's Abby the tattooist. That would be top. That would be really cool. I'd love that. And also for having a good heart. I'd rather die broke knowing people go, oh, she had a really good heart, rather than dying rich and people think I was a prick. But I think having a good heart is a real good and important thing that not enough people give credit to.
Yeah.
So having a good heart,
nowadays.
being a tattooist.
Love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's been cool. Before we get out your hair, we've got the drawing challenge to do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We've got a piece of A5 paper. You've got a Bic, you've got a HB, a 2B, and a 0.5 mil fine liner. I'm going to be giving you some quick fire this or that questions at the same time. And I'm going to give you 3 minutes to draw photorealistic waffle. 3, 2, 1, go.
Would you rather have more time or more money?
Oh, more time.
Lose your vision or your hearing?
Oh my God, I can't think. I'm trying to draw a waffle.
That's the whole point.
Wait, ask me again.
Okay, lose your vision or lose your hearing?
Hearing.
Hearing, okay. Be Batman or Spider-Man?
Oh, this is really fucking with me. How many holes does a waffle have?
I don't know. 4, 8 to 16 maybe.
1, 2, 3.
Dinner or a movie alone?
Wait, am I having dinner with someone?
Go to dinner with someone or movie alone, yeah.
I've never done a movie on my own. I'd say dinner.
Okay, either phone call or text?
I'm so struggling.
Come on,
I can't believe I get paid to draw.
Full realism right now, come on. Read a book or watch a film, 2 minutes left.
Oh my God, I can't believe this is a minute. Watch a film, I love a film.
Okay, space or ocean?
Ocean.
Okay. Too hot or too cold?
Too hot, I hate being cold.
Okay, are you bad news or good news first?
Good news, oh, bad news first. If someone says I need to talk to you and doesn't tell me there and then what it is, I'm having a panic attack. So I need them to, I'll be sick, like, don't do that to me.
Okay. Give up sex or your favourite food?
Sex with who?
Well, I don't know. Minute and a half left. You're halfway.
Wait, all food or just my favourite food?
I would say favourite food.
Do you know what? I like loads of food, so I'll give up my favourite food. I'll find a new one soon, so it's fine.
Would you rather be 4'5" or 7'5"?
4'5".
Good singer or good at an instrument?
Instrument.
Mentally or physically never age? How are we getting on there? You got 1 minute left. I love this.
Mentally or physically? So, wait, if I'm born as a baby, I'm always a baby then?
Mentally or physically never age, yeah, I guess.
But when do I stop? Where's the line? Where's the bar? As in right now?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd say physically then, because I think I'm pretty mature.
Okay. True love today or win the lottery next year?
I've already got true love.
Nice. Overdressed or underdressed?
Lottery, because I've already got the love.
Lottery, let's do it. Let's have it. You get
I'm
both
rich,
then.
baby. Let's go on holiday.
Okay, you get a text from a one-night stand saying I'm pregnant or I gave you an STD. Which one you having?
Well, I mean, considering I'm a woman, if I impregnated someone else, that's impressive.
True. True. Okay, would you rather send nudes to your boss or your parents? 5.
Oh my gosh. Oh, or Tyler.
4.
Tyler all day.
Okay. Love that. Oh, that's it. Time's up. Put your pencil down. How did you do?
I've done better.
Hey, it looks all right for me. Huh? That's
Should I show you the camera?
Yeah, we're
Like Blue
gonna
Peter.
take a photo of it. Come on, I love that. I mean, it wasn't in biro, but
Oh shit!
it doesn't matter.
Like, do you know what? Oh, I would have looked better in Biro as well.
Still a solid entry.
Do you know how when you were talking to me, working out how many of these little holes was fucking with
It's
me.
good though. The 3, yeah, you've smashed it. I was just did it 369. Yeah, 9, nice, decent. But yeah, thank you so much for being a part of it. It's been brilliant.
Thank you so much for having me. It's
No
been
worries.
fun.
Thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast this week. Don't forget to hit the bell icon and the follow button wherever you listen to your podcasts. And don't forget to head over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button as well. Really helps the podcast grow. And thank you so much for all the support so far. I'm Alex Lloyd, and this is a 21st Century Tattoo. Thanks for listening.
That was one of the most stressful situations I've had. But I enjoyed it.
I love it.